What is up, InterWebs? Big Blue here, Matt the Cutman with me as always. We have just come from seeing Ghost in the Shell. Actually, we saw it last night.
Yeah.
Kind of a late showing, so we didn't get to do our review until today. And I'm kind of glad that we did. I'm glad that I've had this time to kind of think on what we saw. But
let it mull about.
A little bit. Kind of chew on it, as you will. But enough yammering on for me. Cutman.
It's got to simmer down.
A little bit. What'd you think of Ghost in the Shell?
Actually, I still kind of had the same thought now that I did coming out of it, and that was there were parts of it that were okay. There were parts of it that were just kind of underwhelming.
Okay.
I was underwhelmed.
Sure.
I liked the just the stylistic part of it, the vision of what the future would be back when it was originally incepted back in when it started
86,
in the 80s.
Yeah, mid-80s. I think is when
I always like what the future is going to look like from the 80s.
Yeah.
You're Back to the Future.
Absolutely.
No. Now that we live in that time,
yeah,
it's like, okay, that's interesting. Scarlett, I thought was great.
I agree. I always think she's great.
Yeah,
so.
no, she played a great kind of having a bit of a dead inside, but there's still some spark there that she's trying to unravel, but she's still mechanic.
The way the character was written, I think she performed it well. The magic of editing. No, I think she played it well. I have some issues with how they wanted her to portray some of the issues, but then again, let's preface this by saying that neither one of us have any history with the manga comic or with the original source material. We have not seen the anime, never read the comics, so we're going into this just from what we've
brand
seen.
New.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
seen RoboCop, love RoboCop.
Yeah. Both versions.
Yes.
Well, seen both versions. I don't know if we could say love.
Yeah,
we'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah. Anyway, I agree. Walking out of the movie last night, I was in a much more positive frame of mind about this movie than I am after having thought it over for several hours.
That was the Ruvies that girl slipped you.
Oh, is that what it was?
I didn't want to say anything.
She didn't even take me home. Damn.
Well, you blew it. You fucked up.
I guess I did. Missed it by that much. Anyway, so yeah, no, I had a really good time, and I liked what you said about the landscape and their vision of the future.
Yeah.
The world building that they did in this movie is really what sold it for me. The universe that they set up, Rupert Sanders is the director, and he has a wonderful way of setting up scenarios in which you can go play in sandboxes. He also directed Snow White and the Huntsman, which that movie was
set in the same universe.
Very far in the future.
No, I might be getting that wrong.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm hearing. No. Turns out that's false.
Yeah, no, fake news.
Damn it! They got me again.
April Fools. Anyway, he does a really, really good job of setting up those sandboxes for us to go and play in, and I really enjoyed spending time in the universe that he created in Ghost of the Shell.
Yeah.
I really felt that some of the action, a lot of it was cool. Some of it was left to be wanting. I thought that what we got from the trailers was pretty much all we got as far as the action goes. And it just was not very, very... It wasn't very well developed from a character standpoint.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
No, I completely agree. I would agree. I would say it's not well developed, not only from a character standpoint, but from a story standpoint. There was nothing new that I saw in that. There was nothing that I wasn't not expecting.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It was paint by colors.
If you've seen the trailers for this movie, you know exactly what this movie is going to entail.
Or if you've just like seen television or movies in general,
That's
you know
true,
what's
yeah.
going to happen from you know what's going to happen in the second and third act from having watched the first.
Yeah.
There's no surprises.
I will say that I did very much enjoy the character of Batu, who was her partner.
Yeah.
In this, I think that the actor,
Right-hand man.
The actor's name is, I'm going to butcher this like nobody's business.
Go on.
Pilu Asbayak.
Turns out his name is John Smith.
Oh, damn, I did mispronounce it.
Silent. A lot of those letters.
How about that? Messed it up again. Anyway, you may know him as Uncle Euron from Game of Thrones. Or excuse me, Uncle Euron. Messed that one right up. But
Different silent letters on that one.
yeah. Anyway, so he's the guy that plays that. Was also in Lucy, so he's worked with ScarJo before, and I liked their dynamic together. I also liked her boss, the Japanese actor Takeshi Kitano, and I'm pretty sure that I botched that as well.
No, turns out you got it exactly right.
How about that? Yay! At least I got something right. I played the character of Aramaki, who was an absolute badass.
Yeah, with that 6-shooter.
Yeah. No spoilers here, but there's one scene where you think things are going to go one way, and he turns out, no, that dude's legit. He's a badass. So
Yeah.
But yeah.
Jumping back to the world building.
Yeah.
So what kind of hit me was, so when I was a kid growing up, our parents used to take my sister and I on vacation. We would always go to New York City in like
New York City.
settle down. I know it's foreign. We would always go to New York City in like the late 80s, early 90s, and so on. And we would always stay at the Marriott Marquis in Times Square.
Okay.
And this was supposed to be, like the city of the future and everything. And, Times Square lighting up. And if you were to take Times Square and like transpose it into Japan and then like fast forward into what the future would be, that's probably what it would look like.
No, I absolutely agree. Like you said, this version of the future was not nearly as weird and exoteric as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be kind of like, hey, look how weird and trippy we are, but it was still really, really grounded. Like there were still, like they were driving in their car, and there was at one point, a cool car wreck scene and stuff like that. So it was like, okay, it was still kind of grounded, but still had those flavors of.
And their car, by the way, looked like a 1980, like a 90s Jaguar.
Okay.
But it looked also like it had a fusion reactor in it. I wasn't quite sure.
If the production design on this movie was done really, really, really well. So overall thoughts, should people go see this movie in the theater?
Yeah, go see it. I
agree.
think it's worth the price of admission. My one note on this, if you'll allow me,
I will indeed.
My note on this and remakes or takes on previous source material in general is that if you're going to go in and retell this story, tell the story, even if it's kind of a similar story, if it's the same story, but have a different take on it. It reminds me of when they were redoing RoboCop.
Yeah.
It was like, if you can update RoboCop, don't just have, the RoboCop fighting the
Ed 209.
The ED 209. Don't just have them shoot. We've seen that.
Yeah.
Don't just update that with modern CGI.
Yeah.
There was such room for, okay, RoboCop can now jack into citywide surveillance.
Yeah.
How could that be applied or misused? And how could Omnicorp, I mean, not to take this all the way back to RoboCop, but I mean, that's just one example. If you're going to retell a story, have an updated take on it. Don't just retell the story for the sake of retelling the story. There's no point in that.
Yeah. I think that if I had one take back, or give them one do-over on this version of Ghost in the Shell,
Yeah.
it would be that I don't know if the stuff with now this is some spoiler stuff, so here's
You have been warned.
spoiler stuff. So our take on this: go see the movie. If you haven't seen it yet, pause this, go see it, come back, and then we can all partake here. So
Pause. It's French for stop.
pause. Anyway, the stuff with her mother at the end, or towards when she kind of figures out who she is, where she's been from. A lot of my stuff when I was watching it is, okay, did they add this stuff in to kind of counteract all of the criticism that this movie got because of the whitewashing of the casting of Scarlett Johansson in this role, which by a lot of people's accounts should have been given to an Asian actress.
Sure.
And now it could just be because I'm so engrossed in the goings-on in Hollywood and what's going on with the studio news, and I read, The Hollywood Reporter and stuff like that.
You're a studio player. Let's not kid ourselves.
Well, I am. It's kind of hard not to be when you've got the skills that I do. But do you think that took you out of the story at all? Did you notice that while you were watching it? Or...
It was like somebody scratched a record.
Okay.
From a logic writing standpoint, it took me. It's like, whoa, why is she here? Why is this person just all of a sudden letting her into the apartment? They didn't set this up at all.
Yeah.
This has just been airdropped into the story.
Yeah.
Okay, I just needed fine. I get the premise of it.
Yeah.
And I do like how they tied that in together, but you need more of a setup.
It definitely needed a little bit more. It could have been handled differently because as it was just like, no. This is why she looks like Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's why she looks like Scarlett Johansson.
But on the other hand, if you are going to build a robot, why not have her look like Scarlett Johansson?
I'd build it, make it look like Scarlett Johansson.
Let's be honest.
It was a touching thing that they did. The element with her mom at the end, where she goes there at her grave at the cemetery, and says to her mom, "You don't need to come here anymore." It was a nice moment. It was cool. It fit the story, but again, it was one of those. Did it need to be there? I don't think it needed to be there. I think that it was kind of one of those. They added it just because we're gonna placate some of the people, and I think in doing so, it's just making people like you and I talk about it more.
I wish it. I don't have a problem with them adding it. I just wish they would have done it better.
Or that.
I mean, I know it could have added another 10 minutes to the movie, but let's add 10 minutes to the movie and explain that more.
It's like George Lucas directing. Do it again. Do it better. Just do it better.
Damn it! But those were my thoughts.
My thoughts as well. Overall, go see this movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was entertaining for what it was. It's a shame that I really don't think this movie is going to get any sequels or anything just because of... I don't think it's going to do all that well to warrant it. It may crush overseas, who knows? And that's a shame because I would love to spend
It'll do well in the Asian markets.
Yeah.
And it may do well enough worldwide to do that.
I hope so, because I would like to spend more time with some of these characters.
In that world.
In this world,
Yeah,
definitely. So those are our thoughts. Let us know what your thoughts are down in the comments section below. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, share this video amongst all your friends. You can find us on Facebook at The InterWebs Show. You can find us on Twitter at The InterWebs Show. And until next time, we will see you on the interwebs.
I'll say you will. Delicious every time.